Tim Kuda here with CBK, Cannonball Kelly on CBKRadioland.com. CBKRadioland.com is over 10 years old, for those of you who don't know. Probably you don't, because we really have never had a lot of listeners. But we had a few people. We had a lot of interviews. We got a lot of interviews on our website. But we've been on kind of what we would call a hiatus. My buddy over there, CBK, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. My fingers are hurting, but I'm doing good.
Your fingers are hurting. Well, hopefully they'll feel better today. So we've been on this hiatus, CBK. Why have we not been on the air? CBK Radio Land has been stagnant for the last X amount of months. Why is that?
You really want to know?
Well, I mean,
uh,
just kind of bring us up to speed. Now we're coming back. We're gonna be doing podcasts now. We're not doing the live radio stream anymore. We're doing podcasts because this is how we have to do it to keep things legal, as they say. So we're going to be looking for these podcasts, which everybody's doing a podcast nowadays. Apparently, there's only like 25 people that actually make money on podcasts, but there's thousands of podcasts out there. Nonetheless, trying to get our voices heard out there. So you're going to be hearing the CBK Radioland podcast from time to time. CBK, what do you think you want out of like this new way where we're going in the podcast? You tell me a little bit about that.
I don't even know where to begin. We've started this journey, like you said, 10 years ago, almost maybe more. But anyway, I've always been an enthusiast of radio, music. Apparently, we like history now for some reason. Just a lot of entertainment news. I have a radio background. We were in the Navy together. You and I did radio. It's funny. I love it that I taught Tim Kuda how to do radio on the ship, the carrier we were on. And then after we lost touch, 13 years later went by, he finds me on a YouTube video looking at River the Radio Guy as a baby, and he emails somebody, and then then we get in touch, right? Next thing you know, we're doing this. I met you doing the baseball show and whatever else you were doing at the time. But so I still wanted to do the audio radio. Now this is my the video, right? But it's the new format. You've been telling me this for the years. I never believed it, but now I guess I'm getting used to it. So we had the CBK Radio Land in like 2011, maybe 10, somewhere in there. You weren't involved for some period of time. I tried to hook up with AM radio, who's my son, and we were doing something for a little bit of time. And then it sort of grew after that to continue it. I wanted to do it all the time, to do radio from internet, which we did a show for. We used to talk, remember, 2 hours we used to talk.
Oh, yeah.
If
2 hours, 2 hours long, yes.
About music and whatever, right? So I wanted to take it to a step further. I wanted to do my own show. We had the CBK Radio Land on the Spreaker. I think that's where it kind of took off.
Yeah, Spreaker. Yep.
Where we were doing shows and playing little tidbits of music and whatever we were doing. But then we got involved with bringing in a few other people. Captain Radio was one from New York. Texas Twister, obviously, from Texas. Kevin Conley was in KJRFN land still. AM radio was in Medford, Oregon, and I was out of Salt Lake at the time. And that went weekly, every week, Thursday nights, 8 p.m., right? 8:15-ish, as I used to say. And we talked a lot of history and politics and current events and music. And we did a weekly rock and roll history, which I think you and I did that, Tim, long time ago.
We started rock and roll history when we were doing our original CBK Radioland podcast, the 2-hour version, back in 2008. That's when it started, 2008. And so we were doing those rock and roll histories, and people seemed to like those, and I always thought those were some of the best parts of our show. And then you started picking those up again, even when you were doing the show with the gang.
Correct. That was a weekly staple, and I think because of you said, "Hey, this sounds good, CBK. Let's keep doing it." Then we acquired the music streaming thing that took place, and we were playing the music, which was great, and everything was perfect. And then we said, hey, let's do a weekly rock and roll history thing, which was cool. And I do miss them today. Oh, I miss the station. I miss the hits. I miss making when you gave me the opportunity to do the rock and roll histories, and you were doing them in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
And I think I'm sending you
Yes.
right audio
Yeah,
files.
you were sending me the audio files, and then I was putting them together, and it was just the time was crazy. And then I'm like, hey, if you want to keep doing these, you got to do it. So you ended up taking it over.
And I loved it. I loved editing. I loved doing the narration, and then you do a little like today, for example, a country guy you might know, or pop guy uh, from Kenny Rogers died, so we would incorporate that in this week's history if it was still going, right?
Right,
Basically.
we would be playing probably The Gambler and Islands in the Stream
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Find Time to Leave Me, Lucille. These are all good ones, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or one of his first groups, Rudy, Judy, Don't Take Me to Town, or I don't know, whatever that song is. So
Do you
that's
remember that
just,
movie? Do you remember that movie with Kenny Rogers that he was in? Like he was a race car driver, and he had the six orphans that he took on his racing team. Man, I wish I remember the name of that. Do you know what I'm talking about?
there's vaguely, I don't know exactly, but something is ringing a bell about the six kids or something racing, or he was adopting. I don't know what that
Yeah,
was.
it's crazy. I mean, but you're right. We would talk. We would have been playing. Well, I don't. It was funny because you would have had, if this was the weekend show, you would have had the rock and roll history already done, and so we would have probably missed that. But then next week you would have had a trib. You would have had a Monday trib to the man, Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, yeah, we do a top five Kenny Rogers hits or something. And I do miss it. I wish today, because it's so quiet where I am here in the Snohomish, because I'll in Utah and in PDX, we had that thing was on 24/7. It was great. I loved it in the background. I could do work or make new radio things. I usually get the rock and roll histories done like on a Wednesday, or I'd start them on a Monday or a Tuesday. But then I was doing the Monday show, right? So that was, it was just one thing after another. Anyway, basically, what we've done is I'm very grateful to you for letting us do that, and maybe in the future we'll see where it goes. But I think now I've done a couple podcasts locally. Uh, we called it "What's New with CBK," but we're working on things now currently, Tim, with the system he has. We can do our own podcasts, and I can use my phone here, right, to record instead of a big booth, which I do have, and that's put away in the storage unit. I'm still temporarily sheltering myself. So depending on where all that happens and why I've moved and what's happened, there's some other details. I'm not sure I'm ready to go into that yet, but it's fun. It's weird watching me in my camera here, and then I'm
Yeah,
seeing me over
just
here.
look in this camera. Don't worry about that.
Yeah,
It's definitely different. I know CBK is very he doesn't like being on TV. That's why he's a radio guy. We don't want to see
right.
that mug, but hey, this is the way it is, man. All podcasts, if you watch now, a lot of them have the video streams, and they're just talking on the radio. They got their headphones on, and I mean, obviously, I know this is the best we can do for now because of what you said. You're sheltered in place, and not only because of the COVID-19, but for other reasons. And this is what we are going to do to at least get you back out there and to get this podcasting and get your voice heard because you got a lot to say. Now, I recently returned to Facebook in an effort to kind of promote some of this stuff. And getting on Facebook, I didn't realize, CBK, how active you are on Facebook and what you do on there exactly. So I look at it as like, okay, this is something you want to do. This is something cool. So let's try to, there's ways we can make this work, the CBK Radio Land, at least temporarily through this medium. And even you can do it obviously on your own. As we talked, you're going to have your own podcasts from time to time that might show up based on what you want to say. You did that little free thing for a little while, but hopefully this will give you the opportunity to really take some time. And if there's something out there that if I'm not available, you might not have the video version, or you can do the video like this. You can record it on your phone, and then we can get that up too. So there's lots of different ways that you can hear CBK and Tim Kuda. If I got something to say, maybe I'll pop on and just be like, what the heck is going on with the world today, right, CBK?
Yeah, I just did that. I just did that thing yesterday out on the porch over here. Just, hey, it's me, and I'm here, and I chopped wood because now I'm doing a whole nother thing, which I've never been used to. Normally I drive things, but because of the COVID-19 shelter in place, I don't know, is Illinois sheltering in place? I know
Yes.
California.
5 p.m. today, we are required to stay put. But if you have jobs that are considered essential, now CBK, your job would be considered essential because you are in transportation. I don't know if you knew that. You're an essential. You're essential, but you don't have nothing to drive. But like if you were back in like Corvallis doing the the city bus type of a thing, you would be required to go to work.
Yeah, and in fact, I just got a text from, I don't know who it is. I don't know. Does your boss follow you after you've left a job? He said, "Hey, I miss you, and we're still in service." And I'm like, wow. The other school district I worked for, Oregon schools are closed, uh, and I'm currently in Washington State, and Bellevue schools, or all of the, I don't know if it's Eastern Washington, like Spokane and Yakima or whatever. I don't know if those are closed, but Bellevue, King County, Seattle schools are all closed. So the last week, I've been showing up to work, and like 70 people are grouped up, Tim, and they don't want more than 50, or now I think the number's 10. They don't want 10 people in the same room together.
No, that's right. It's
Which
10. 10 is a number, and actually, I mean, what? There's like 3 epicenters or 2. I guess San Francisco was one, and then New York is another. But then you've got Seattle there. Seattle is like one of the epicenters of this, where it exploded, and that's where a lot of these quarantines started.
It's funny that I don't know if I mentioned the Navy. That's how we met each other
Yep,
doing radio.
we were in the Navy. We got this thing called VeteransCast.com where we talk more Navy stuff these days. But yeah, we were in the Navy together.
There's a ship that I don't know where it's based out of, but between California and Washington, where the epicenter is. However, California has 40 million people, right? We have 7 here, but they're fighting over which ship. There's a Navy medical ship off the coast trying to figure out where it's going to go to save the most people. That's so weird to me.
Right. No, it's the USS. I forget. It's a medical ship, and it was out of San Diego. They put it
I don't know.
to sea so that way it could be. But see, the thing about that hospital, it's supposed to be saving people who don't have the COVID, because the COVID, you know how it is on a ship. You get on a ship, you're right next to it. How can you practice social distancing on a ship? It's
I don't think
impossible.
there's
So
no
they
way
want they want to use that to like take care of the the appendicitis, or the broken legs, or the stuff that's still happening, but they need that medical assistance. I think that's what they're using that ship for, not necessarily for the COVID, because you would pass it around that ship in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This whole thing is ridiculous. In my lifetime, I have never seen anything like this ever.
Well, yeah, it's been. I mean, nobody really. I mean, unless you're around in 1918, and that would mean you're pushing 100, and you're going to remember it. You're pushing 100 years old, or 101, and you would remember how that went. There's a good chance that nobody really remembers something similar to this. Nobody's been through anything like this.
No, I think they're referring to the Spanish flu. Is that what
Yeah,
you're thinking of? And
yeah, the Spanish flu.
I don't know if that was in this state or somewhere else, but it was just as bad, right? Just as bad as. I think this is worse than the 9/11 thing when the buildings came down in New York, as far as the people's being affected by their jobs and whatever else is going
Well,
on.
9/11 was a big deal, but it was three days to a week where everything was shut down. But then everything started to go back
Come
into
back.
like somewhat of a normal, right, and somewhat of a normal configuration. Here, I mean, they're talking air. I went today to look at some airfares because, well, one, unfortunately, I had to. My daughters and I were supposed to, on this Friday, be traveling to Florida for spring break. We had to cancel that trip, unfortunately, because of what's going on. So that kind of sucked. But what I did do is I looked for some flights to Las Vegas because I'm supposed to go to Las Vegas maybe at the end of next May. I've got a house being built, and if that still happens, if it gets delayed, but so what I did is I looked at flights. I was able to find a round trip airfare from Chicago to Las Vegas the week of Memorial Day for $79. Round trip,
Whoa.
79 bucks. So this is the type of stuff we're dealing. I mean, we're talking about. It's just you've got this all going on, and the economies are. If they just think about it, how many people are out of work? And I don't know if your job is going to, if they're going to pay you guys or not, or how that's going to work. But think about how many school bus drivers are now out of work and might not go back to work till September.
Yeah, it's scary. They're saying April 28th, someone's birthday, um, maybe. But then I'm seeing other posts like May, and yes, like you said, not until next September. And that is not good for me in my position where I've left Oregon with two jobs, or really one job, and then now to this, a better paying job, but with no work. I don't know what I'm going to be doing.
Well, and I know there are some school districts across the country that have already called off school for the whole year. I mean, not everybody, but a lot of them have. Like, we're done. Come back in September. And if that's the case,
Gee.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of potential issues with that. And this has ramifications to like workers who in the hospitality businesses, like servers and bartenders and whatnot. They're getting hammered, and these small businesses, everyone's like, well, just give them paid sick leave, and I get that. That's an important part of a social protection that maybe we should have. But if you're a small company, I mean, like, look at MIBTmedia.com. I mean, I couldn't pay you if you went out on sick leave. I don't make the money. The company doesn't make any money to do it. I mean, so I can see where that's an issue because ultimately a lot of these companies won't be able to pay for that sick leave, but they still need money. And I know the government's talking about sending everybody checks, and that's just might be a way. But it's crazy on how much of an economic impact this is going to have, and it's going to have for a while.
Yeah, I was telling my aunt that this COVID thing is not only, it's affecting restaurant people and bus drivers and airline people and truck drivers and everybody, but it also, I don't know if you know, was listening to NPR, and they were saying it also affects the dead. The people who are deceased already, they're making them wear masks because the COVID can come in the body, I guess, and then the body will take the COVID as a dead body and still, whatever it does, it poofs it out, and then it makes it grow and go somewhere else. And then somebody else in the funeral home can get it.
I have not heard that one. That's a new one. But what I did hear is virtual funerals. I heard that people, because they can't get together, they're having to like stream the funeral. How messed up is that?
Yeah, that. I can't believe this. I mean, we had the MERS, the swine flu, the SARS, the bird flu, whatever else. I didn't think twice when those things were happening. Maybe a few people overseas may have gone beyond from it. I don't know, but have you looked at Italy?
Italy is really jacked up right now.
I don't get it. This is ridiculous.
Well, there were reports that some of the doctors in Italy are saying that they were treating COVID-19 symptoms back in November and December. So like it might have been out there even before, it was like the China virus, dump the douche, you haven't said dump the douche in months.
No, I don't like that. I still don't like that guy.
I know. But he,
He's a dumb man. Dumb. He's trying to send you money, but he's still a dumb.
uh, oh yeah, So anyway, even though he's calling it the Wuhan virus, the China virus, it might have been out there even before that. It could have been, in Italy, and a lot of the Italy doctors are saying they were. That's why it's exploded. They didn't even realize it was there for as long as it possible for as long as it has been.
Yeah, like I said, I've never seen this before. It's eye opening. I feel terrible for my, River the radio guy, my kids and kid AM radio, um, especially River because he's younger. I feel for him and what he's going through, and every little kid out there, especially the ones not going to school and how they feel. And I just think about that, how you
Well,
handle situations.
it's important because my kids are a little older, 16 and 14. I know you've had River the radio guy. River's what? He's 22 now, 21.
No, AM's 23,
Oh, I'm
River's
sorry.
12.
AM. I know. River's the young guy. My apologies. AM. He's 23. That's what I meant. So, yeah, River. I just made River really old. Sorry, River. But didn't mean to do that, River. Stay a kid. Stay a kid. Um,
Let's see.
but yeah. So my kids are 16 and 14, and so they're having to do this self quarantine, stay at home stuff. I mean, they got the FaceTime stuff, kind of stuff that like we're doing right now and whatnot, where you can do the video conferencing and this and that. So that's different than our day and age when if we had to self quarantine, we would be just reading the phone book or something like that, I guess, or barely had cable. Now you can.
Yeah.
I've actually heard that the internet is starting to crash in like different countries, like in Netflix. They're not allowed to stream HD in England anymore because they were using too much bandwidth and causing the internet to crash because everybody's watching the internet right now. I'm surprised we're working because everybody. What else is people going to do? Like I said, 5 p.m. here in Illinois, we're supposed to lock down. But it's very fluid or very loose lockdown because they're like, okay, you can go to the grocery store, you can go to the doctor, you can go get gas, you can go get food, but you got to just pick it up. So it's like there's still going to be people out and about. It's just they're trying to keep people locked in. And what else are you going to do? You're going to stream the internet. You're going to watch. You're going to catch up. You're going to watch the entire series of Breaking Bad, or you're going to watch the Game of Thrones, or whatever it might be. You're going to try to catch up. So that's what you're right. Kids are kind of, they can go outside as long as they stay 6 feet away from their buddies. And but ultimately, you're right. There's kids that it's probably scary for them as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. I saw a Facebook thing about, maybe you've seen one too, about a kid's playing a video game or something, and then they shoot to the guy over here. His father is trying to run out, and I'm gonna go hang out at the bar with my friend or whatever. I guess this bar wasn't closed yet, but anyway, and he's like, "No, Dad, you're staying in, pal. This is the COVID-19 era." So it's funny that the kids are telling the adults, "Hey, you better stay inside." So I can't imagine that hasn't happened here yet. The governor has not put a stay in place order
Well,
here.
I thought he did for a couple counties.
I don't know. I don't think I've heard. Like I said, King, Snohomish, and Pierce are the three here. Three big. And I live about 5 or 6 miles north of Kirkland, where the incident in the nursing home happened. So but King County is, I don't know if they've shut it down. I don't think they've shut it down that I've heard, not yet, the state. I just went to Flower World down the road and we were walking around looking at the chickens and the waterfalls and plants and things. So, but yeah, there is a 6 feet difference I noticed with people. I'm over here, they're over there. I don't know.
Well, you're right. The social distancing thing is something we have to all work on. And you talk about the kids. Like I presented it to my kids. Like I said, I was supposed to go to Florida, and I presented it to them this way. I said, I made them be the adult. I said, you're going to be the adult. Now you have the choice. And I gave them all the information of what's going on and told them what's going on in Florida. They've shut down all the restaurants in Florida. The resort that I was supposed to go to, they shut everything down except for the rooms. You could go to the room, but there's no pool, there's no hot tub, there's no nothing. You have to just stay in your room or go to the beach.
Wow.
And I gave them all the information. And then I said, so now you're the adult, you make the decision. And my older one said, yeah, we should stay home. And my younger one said, we should stay home. I go, all right, you guys got it. You win. We're going to stay home. And they're like, no, 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 we didn't want to make the decision. And and I'm like, guys, we were staying home. I mean, we were going to stay home. So don't think we weren't. I mean, it's just the right thing to do. And now even the president, Dump the Juice, said, avoid all unnecessary travel. That's unnecessary. And so we just had to cancel it, and we'll live to fight another day.
Yeah, hopefully this runs its course quickly, because I'm still on that probationary period as far as work is concerned with me, and I was hoping to go, see some of my family maybe in June, but I don't know where we'll be and what is going to be happening, and all I can do is hope and pray for the best, and the outcome gets fixed, and we all get a thumbs up and can go out to dinner or whatever outside and play and have parties and fun times. In fact, I saw a fun post. Maybe you saw it too. I said, whenever this whole thing ends, we'll have a great, I can't quote it, St. Patrick's Day, El Segundo, Happy July, something Christmas party, all in one thing. And the world's going to just go crazy and jump and dance around a fire and with loud music. I don't know.
Big party. We'll call it the anti-COVID day.
Anti-COVID crazy 2020. Yeah, crap. Right.
There you go. Hey, speaking of you used to be living in the Salty Lake. They got rocked this week. How about that?
Yeah, it's funny. I was in the 1971 earthquake in Boss, LA, when my mom told me my crib bounced all around the bedroom, and that's when all the freeways came down that you see, right, Tim? You've seen pictures of
sure. Yeah, I remember that.
And I was in the San Francisco earthquake, and I was in many, many, many earthquakes. Earthquakes don't scare me at all, unless you watch the movie. What is that? 2012, when all the buildings,
they all collapse in,
the planes dodging. Anyway, that was pretty weird, but I've never seen it that bad. I'm sure it'd be really bad if you're in that situation, but they don't scare me. And the salt just last week, I guess it was Wednesday, I don't know.
Yeah, 5.7.
So they had 5.7 in Magna, which is west of the Salt Lake City. And they felt it in Sandy, where I used to hang out.
Yeah,
and,
they shut the airport down. They actually shut the airport down.
Yeah, I don't know what fell. They did show some Walmart pictures. If you're a Walmart hanger-outer, stuff all over the floor, the P-ways or the floor and whatever. But yeah, I wasn't laughing, but I was kind of like, And then some people I know, they've never felt an earthquake before, Tim, believe it or not. I don't know if you have in Chicago.
Well, we did. We actually did have an earthquake in Chicago here about 10 years ago. It knocked me out of my bed. It was crazy. And I have felt them. I was in California through some of the major ones too. I slept through most of them. But yeah, you know how they feel, but you're right. They're not used to them in the Salty Lake.
No, and since I've moved to this Portland/Oregon time, and since a year ago I've moved, Oregon's had 2 or 3 quakes off the coast over here. So they're like, earthquake off Oregon coast, watch out for the tsunami, I'm like, oh, brother. So I don't worry about them. I'm not scared at all. If it happens, it happens. You just roll with it. Hopefully a tree doesn't come through your house like it did in this house 2 years ago here.
Oh, wow. A tree came through the house,
that wasn't because of an earthquake. I mean, all the trees, a tree did fall. It came through her house here and hit the thing and broke windows, and glass was in this area where I'm sitting here, and she had to do a lot of renovating. I think it was 5 months she was out of a place to live. And it was during the winter and the rainy season here, when it was raining and leaking everywhere.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. So everybody, though, all the fam that's in the Salty Lake area, they were okay with the earthquake and everything, right?
Yeah, they were all fine. They felt it. They woke up out of bed, and they were okay. They weren't scared, which is good. But they haven't felt a 7 or 8 pointer. So
no,
that's another
true.
story.
And if you would have been there, you'd have been like, this is nothing, man. You should have been back in 1971 when my crib was bouncing around. That would have been the earthquake. This 5.7 stuff, forget that, man.
Exactly.
You don't know anything about earthquakes. This is called
Yeah.
stone riding. We're just gonna ride the bumps here. This is like driving on the road.
I was on a mountain in California a long time ago as a teenager, and I swear I saw one earthquake coming. I could see the earth actually moving as it was coming closer.
It's like a wave.
I was like, whoa.
It's like a wave, actually.
It was weird to look at it coming at you.
Because you realize we are surfing. We are surfing all the land. And we're on the lava, man. The lava. We're just surfing. We're riding the lava down. And so then when a wave comes with that earthquake wave, you can see it. You go, whoa, and that's what happened. Whoa. So
Yeah,
anyways.
throw in some Jim Dean and we're good, man. Good to go.
So anyway, so this has been a little bit of CBK Radioland reverb. Well, not reverb, relaunch.
Invented.
Reverb. That's reverb. How about a relaunch? So hopefully we'll get a chance to do more of these and just kind of rap.
Yeah.
And CBK can rap on his own if he wants and upload and we can just kind of go back and forth and have some fun, and maybe some people will listen. You know what? I will say, CBK, you do have a following on Facebook. I've noticed that. People look at your stuff. So maybe they'll watch this. It's possible, right?
Yeah, come on in, everybody. Come on, check us out.
Check us out. Why would people want to listen to us? I don't know. Maybe, are we interesting? We're going to try to be interesting. We're going to try to be funny. Maybe a little interesting. Maybe just a little bit of venting. I don't know. But, hey, it's been fun. So for our first podcast, this is really, truly our first ever, podcast. I mean, we've had other things. So we'll call this our first podcast episode 1 here at CBKRadioland.com. For Tim Kuda, there's CBK. We'll catch you next time, whenever that might be.